So just for my own personal sanity, how much did our argument against the Clippers drive you to ultimately lead the Warriors?
It wasn't the argument. It was the way that everybody, Steve Kerr, act like it didn't happen. Bob Myers and tried to just discipline you and think that that would put the mask over everything. I really felt like that was such a big situation for us as a group. The first time we went through something like that, we had to get that all out.
We met the next morning, and they said, all right, you slept on it, you ready to apologize? And I told them right then and there, I said, y'all about to this up. I said, the only person that can make this right is me and Kay. And there's nothing that y'all can do, and y'all are going to this up. And in my opinion, they it up.
I think so too.
Ooh, gotta bring in Fox NBA analyst Slick Ric Bucher. But Acho, who's to blame for Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors?
Y'all, this one's simple. Let's not make it complicated. It's Draymond Green. Draymond Green started the fire, and Draymond Green did not put the fire out. And as a result, it is Draymond Green to blame for Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors. Now, it's very easy for Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, who just won a gold medal together, to sit there and blame other gentlemen that are not present and that are not in the room. That's easy as can be. But, Draymond, you were on the court, not Bob Myers. You was the one that got into it with KD. You was on the court, not Steve Kerr. You was the one that got into it with KD. It wasn't those two. So how are they to blame for an issue that you started? You started the fire, Draymond Green, so you should be the one to put the fire out. Again, I understand you and KD were cool before. I understand that you and KD are cool now. But let's not sit here and point the finger at the general manager and the head coach for not putting out a fire that you, Draymond Green, started. Yes, they should have told you to apologize, because while you have and have proven Draymond Green to have an incredible basketball intelligence, clearly the emotional intelligence has come into question at times. We know it's come into question 2016 NBA Finals. Technical foul, gets suspended, gone for Game 5, end up losing the series. We know the emotional intelligence has come into question on the court, challenging the greatest basketball player to ever wear a Warriors uniform, not named Steph Curry. So we know that the emotional intelligence can come into question at times. When it does, it's up to a general manager. It's up to a head coach to step in and say, look, Draymond, we need you to apologize, big dog. Mind you, I don't know what they actually said. We're only hearing one side of the story, but it's easily and absolutely Draymond Green's fault that KD left the war.
It's easily and absolutely no one's fault. No one's to blame for this, but I can tell you about how and why this occurred. KD checked the box. KD was in pursuit of something, and he was in pursuit of not only a championship, but he was also in pursuit of what a championship would mean to him. Now, anybody who's ever pursued anything, your imagination takes over. You start thinking what that's going to do to you, whether it's that new car, that new house, that new relationship, whatever it is. And then fantasy becomes reality. So you check that box. And then after that, it just becomes about experience. Let's talk about this experience. Because when KD was done with them, they gave him the cover, the theater, the moment where Draymond's yelling at him that he needed to depart. Y'all really think that KD is leaving the dynasty with the Warriors because of a loss to the Clippers in November and Draymond yelled at me? Y'all silly. It ain't about that. Oh, you really think it's about because Bob Myers told Draymond to apologize? Apologize? Even if I do apologize, it doesn't matter because what was said was said. So we can't blame Draymond because no athlete I know is leaving that situation just because you yelled at me. And no one is leaving because somebody else tried to tell you to clean it up. What happened was my man KD, who if you watch the entire interview, he told you what he really cares about, peace. He thought the ring was going to make him happy. His old mindset. He got to that place, checked the box, say, yeah, it feels good, but it also comes with its issues. Now, you get into a situation with Draymond, and he said it. He said, the way that they handled it, the way that everyone handled it, I thought that we were going to keep it real. And when they didn't keep it real, he couldn't keep the peace that he was seeking from that same championship, those same rings. So the reason he left, and who you want to blame, it's just the fact that he got to a place where the experience didn't live up to the fantasy. It's just that simple.
You both were so close. So close. Acho, you are right. It was somebody in the room that was having this discussion that is to blame. And Marcellus, you are correct in a sense that no one's really to blame. But if we're going to answer the question, who's to blame? Kevin Durant is to blame for the decision to leave the Golden State Warriors. Because if he really wanted to stay with the Golden State Warriors, if he really saw the potential there, as Draymond did, of them winning another 5 championships, he could have worked this out. Yeah. He didn't need, as the example that he gave of the team coming together and deciding, hey, listen, we need to resolve this, or waiting for Bob Myers and Steve Kerr to handle it in a different way, or Draymond Green, if that's what he wanted to apologize. I mean, Kevin Durant is demonstrating, even in this very interview and in that very cut, about Draymond just wanted to get off it. Please tell me it wasn't me, okay? Could you please, because I'm getting killed, that I'm the one, I'm the reason that you left. And KD just kind of sits back and lets Draymond present everything. And the only thing that he agrees with is that Bob Myers and Steve Kerr didn't handle that particular situation correctly. But he does say elsewhere in the interview, nah, man, I was going for 3, but I knew it had run its course. Like, I had gotten, to Marcellus's point, I'd gotten what I wanted out of this, and I was ready to move on. There were some questions that weren't asked by Draymond in this interview that I would have loved to have known, that would have given us a fuller sense of exactly why Kevin left. And one of them is the relationship with Steph Curry. And the fact that he was a 2-time Finals MVP, and yet the perception was always that it was still Steph Curry's team. How much was that a factor in him seeking to go find something that whatever he was seeking was not complete? Yes, he got the rings, but he didn't get the adulation that I think he anticipated that he would get with it. There were still questions about what he had accomplished. So I just look at it, and Kevin Durant is still being reserved about exactly what he wants and what he's asking for and what he's after. He does it in this interview, and I believe that's part of why, whether it's with the Brooklyn Nets or the Golden State Warriors or the Oklahoma City Thunder, KD likes to keep you guessing in terms of exactly where he stands and where you stand with him. And to me, that has as much to do with the Warriors not being able to hold it together as anything else.
Well, you make a good point. And let's bring up this quick aside. If Steph Curry was on the court that day, if he was in the building that day, I don't think any of this happens. And I don't think any of the Draymond and KD beef happens, Slick Rick, because KD was so adamant about getting the ball, which is why Draymond gets upset with KD, because KD gets upset with Draymond. If Steph Curry's on the court, KD wouldn't have been that adamant to get the ball, because there's a point guard who would have had the ball in his hand. So now all of a sudden, there's less beef there. Klay Thompson tries to sit in the middle of the two, but what y'all don't see before that tape, Klay Thompson is not previously sitting in the middle of the two. He hears them barking, he sits down. Iguodala, the savvy vet, he hears them barking, he enters in the middle of the two. But if Steph Curry's present, I don't think any of this happens. Goes back, however, to being Draymond's fault, because what Kevin Durant said was, Draymond, it wasn't necessarily the issue you and I had on the court. It's how they handled it, how the GM, how the team, how the head coach handled it. There would be no it to handle